Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight we're recapping the week's nerdy news from Gray Malkin Lane to Camp Crystal Lake and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is Steve Heller. A surprise appearance, a surprise podcast. We literally said, "What is up, Steve? What's up? You're here."
I am not in New Hampshire.
We said you weren't going to be here. We said we weren't even going to do this.
Yeah, we shouldn't be here right now.
No, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Sorry.
Big laugh from Steve.
Yeah. So here we are. Lo and behold, my son decided to get sick before we took off for New Hampshire. So I'm not here, but for your listening ear holes, I am here. I don't think that made any sense, but whatever.
You're not where you're supposed to be. But
Right.
in a way, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly.
With me and our loyal listeners and watchers. And if you're one of them, thank you very much for being here on the surprise episode of the Multiverse Report, which is brought to you, as it is always, by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl in Camillus, New York. That place is great.
They are.
I don't have any new great things to say about Funky Town. I say how they're great every week. Sometimes I try to come up with something new to say, but they're just continually great. That's all I can tell you.
100%.
100%. Picked up some new books there this week. Didn't read them yet.
No, same.
Classic comic book purchaser behavior.
Yeah. No, I went and picked up all my new DC pull.
That's right, baby. That's right, Steve. That's right, Steve.
Yep.
Welcome.
All absolutes all the time around here, base.
That's right. So although this is a surprise podcast, in some ways we would have been okay if we skipped this week because it's not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot of big news.
Famous last words, Mike.
No, the famous last words are when I say it's probably going to be a short episode. I'm not saying
true.
I'm saying there's not a lot of news this week.
Right.
Which is true.
Those are two distinctly different things around these parts.
Yes, for sure. I'm going to call an audible and talk about something I found just before we started recordings, before I came downstairs here. I was scrolling my Instagram feed and the app Letterboxd, which I follow on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to say that you follow an app on another app.
Yeah, that does seem kind of odd.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Letterboxd, the director of Oscar-nominated film for Best Picture, The Substance, Oscar-nominated director for directing said film, The Substance, Coralie Faria, when she was 17 years old, she made, this is the post right here, if you want to follow them on Instagram or go to their Instagram page, you can see this. When she was 17 years old, she made a Star Wars film using her Star Wars toys, and her family's home camcorder. And if you go to Letterboxd's Instagram profile and click on the link in their bio, it will take you to a YouTube page where you can watch this 15-minute Star Wars film made by a 17-year-old Spanish woman or Hispanic woman of some kind. I don't know what country she's from. And I watched about 5 to 10 minutes of it before I came downstairs. And it's exactly what you think it is. Just still shots of toys with sound effects playing and either somebody just off camera moving them or, someone swooping in with a snow speeder going by the camera, the Millennium Falcon, something. It's really fun to watch.
It's effectively what my son was doing to me on the couch the other day.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like when you're a kid and you're playing with your Star Wars toys, except you film it. And there's some awkward stop motion stuff with real soundtrack things playing. It's really great. It's really great. Awesome. And so check that out. It's really fun. It seems like it's so far, it started with the assault on Echo Base from Empire Strikes Back and then quickly switched to the beginning of Return of the Jedi. So seemingly she's just hitting her favorite pieces of Star Wars. Like I said, I haven't finished it yet. Yeah.
It's actually the second Echo Base reference we've had today, thanks to friend of the pod, Matt Paseda.
Oh, I thought you were going to say thanks to just the weather in
Oh yeah,
Syracuse, New York, being very Hoth-like,
it
very
was
Hoth-like.
100%. I was out skiing this morning, well, this
Oh wow,
afternoon, and it was
yeah,
I the one thing I've noticed after we've skied most of the year this year is after you do it a couple times in temperatures like that, you're just numb to it. Like you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
sure,
We just throw
yeah.
another layer on, problem solved.
Well, there
So
you go. I went out to snowblow my driveway this morning and made some kind of joke about tauntauns to my wife and son as I was headed out the door.
mhm.
And speaking of going numb, I couldn't feel my hands after about 15 minutes. Hands were numb.
Hmm.
Very cold. Very cold. Not as fun
You
as you
should
had skiing, my experience out in the snow.
no, you should put
Um,
those hands inside the tauntaun because I've heard it's approximately lukewarm in there.
it won't smell nice, but it'll keep me warm until you can get the shelter built.
Till Zev Sineska shows up for you.
Is that guy's name? Zeb
Zev.
Sineska?
Z-E-V.
Zev Sineska.
Yep.
Rogue 2.
Because you need completely useless information like that sitting in your head somewhere. I'm here
Love
for
it.
it, Mike.
That's what you got. I mean, I don't need it in my head if you have it in your head. I can
Point.
just call you anytime I need to know the name of the guy that flew Rogue 2 and found Han and Luke. So
Yep.
I don't need to store it. You're already storing it.
There you go. It's already up there somewhere.
Zev Sineska?
Yep.
I'll try to remember that.
No, you won't.
I won't. I will try.
Well, you'll try.
I won't. I'll try to. So yeah, for real, not a lot of news this week. Not promising a short episode, not promising a long episode, just promising an episode. And you know what? We weren't even gonna do an episode, so
Right.
shut up
bonus
about how
episode.
long it is and just enjoy it. Just
Right.
enjoy it.
Richard's already in the chat just listening to us babble about God knows what. So.
Richard. Always there for us, buddy. You're always there for us. This week, kind of a big week for Marvel. Saw the release of Captain America Brave New World, a movie that I don't believe either of us have seen yet. Is that correct?
Negative.
You, because you're planning on being in New Hampshire and weren't, and me, because I am still banging away on this 14 songs in 28 days album writing challenge thing that I do to myself every year. Wish I was done with it so I could go see Captain America Brave New World because I am excited to see it. I'm excited to see it despite it opening with kind of middling reviews.
Yeah.
And a real scathing article from Vulture about the movie itself and also like the production of it. And
Well, I can't imagine why Adrian Toomes would actually be happy that Captain America's getting a movie. I'm just killing it with the dad jokes tonight, man.
Steve, you're there. You're there with all the nerdy jokes tonight, my friend. So it opened to just under 200 million worldwide,
which I guess was
opening.
on target for what it was expected to do.
Yeah, I think it was on target or maybe a little higher than what people were expecting it to do.
Right.
However, the mediocre reviews are suggesting it may have a pretty steep drop off.
The dreaded second weekend drop.
Exactly. Yeah. And we had heard some of these things that this Vulture article was talking about. We're not going to go in depth on it, but talking about how the production was troubled and they I heard reports that they've shot the movie. You could say that they shot the movie twice. Like the reshoots were so massive, it was basically shooting it twice. I've heard that some of those reshoots are noticeable within the movie. Like there's just like a change in kind of feel to some of the things, or like one plot line where one character is like never interacting with any of the other characters most of the time. So like you can kind of tell it was like inserted.
Right.
And people saying that, for a movie that, again, I haven't read any spoilers. I'm just reading, what people think of it. And so this is the closest thing to a spoiler that I have. So I guess if you don't want to hear this, go ahead, but it's not plot at all. It's just somebody said for a movie whose plot is Captain America basically fighting the president of the United States, it seems to have really nothing to say about politics or what that could symbolize or anything like that at all. In contrast to a movie like Winter Soldier that did kind of speak to government overreach and things like that, invasion of privacy, whatever. And I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't seen the movie.
Right around that pertinent time where we need the hard-hitting, discussion on this, and we're leaving it up in the air.
Exactly. But there's also some kind of like, I think it's in the Vulture article where apparently Harrison Ford's character as the president was supposed to be kind of an analog to Trump. And then they like scaled that back once he like won the election because they didn't want to like offend anybody, which I think is total bullshit if that's true. I don't know. There's like a lot of like stuff flying around about this
Yeah.
movie. But also, I've read plenty of people that say, yeah, it's fun because you get to watch Captain America fight a Hulk. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I think if you're looking for hard-hitting political thriller, you're definitely not going to get Captain America: Brave New World. But if you're looking for a fun explosion movie, then maybe it is good. But again, I haven't seen it, so maybe you know
Right.
maybe it works on all the levels. Maybe it works on no levels. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's
Yeah.
just fine. I don't know. I want it to be great. I want it to be great, but who knows? Who knows? Reports are saying that they never released an official budget, but there were reports that it was like almost a $300 million movie
I mean, if
because
they
of
had to
all
shoot it
the
twice,
reshoots.
then yeah.
Yeah, which means it's got to make like 500 or 600 million to make a profit at all. So,
Right. I mean,
yeah,
200 opening weekend, 200 plus opening
Pretty
weekend
solid.
definitely helps put it towards that.
yeah.
But
We'll have to see what happens. I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, we've
Is
talked
there anything
about
that you've
we've
is there
talked
anything
about
that you've heard that has swayed your opinion or affected your desire to see it in any way?
No, I think I'm gonna see it no matter what. It seems like
Yeah.
it's a concept I would like to see furthered. Like I really
Right.
enjoy Sam's character.
Yes.
The plot seems like it could make sense and work, but who the hell knows if they make it work? Like weirdly, I think we were talking about at the Super Bowl party we were at that of all of these, including Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts is the one we're actually excited for.
And I think part of that is because we have the least amount of expectations for it.
Right. And that was, I was actually talking to one of my friends the other day about that, of setting expectations in a very different place now.
Yeah, big time.
Where it used to be very much the, I'm getting very hyped up for this, instead of the, I'm going to watch this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's, like, if you set the bar low, you're not going to be disappointed every time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Because there's been times when I've gone to a Marvel movie that it's maybe felt more like homework than like being excited. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I gotta suck it up and watch Ant-Man Quantumania or whatever, you know. And I'm genuinely excited about seeing this movie because I like Captain America, I like Sam a lot,
Yeah.
and I like Hulks. I get to see a Hulk in a movie. I'm usually pretty happy. Pretty
That's
awesome.
Harrison
Especially,
Ford,
like,
nonetheless.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And no offense to the most recent Mark Ruffalo version of the Hulk, but like this is like an angry, smashy Hulk and
Right.
not
It's
a
a
super
Hulk
smart,
Hulk.
gentle Hulk. Yeah. And smart Hulk is fine for when you need him to be a smart Hulk, but like I prefer a rage-filled, out-of-control Hulk. So that seems like what we're getting in this movie.
I'm currently reading that Philip Kennedy Johnson run still. And
oh, nice.
holy shit. It's old pissed off Hulk.
Yeah. Great.
And him and
That's what you
Banner
want.
having the struggle, and like
That's what you want.
that's
Yes.
what Hulk is.
That's what Hulk is.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm very curious as to how the leader fits into all of this.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
I feel like could be part of the, could be a stumbling block for the movie if it's trying to, because not only does it have Red Hulk and the plot line with Harrison Ford, we know the leader is in it, and we know Giancarlo Esposito is some kind of
I can't remember
gun.
he was playing, but
I don't know if he was a name at all.
he
It just
was.
looked like
It was
was he? Okay.
It's a relatively obscure villain, but yeah.
Okay.
But like, how many villains do you need in the movie?
Exactly. Could be. That's what I'm saying. It could be that they're doing too much. I don't know, because the trailers have not shown the leader, and they don't tell us what Giancarlo Esposito is doing at all. They really keep it focused on Cap and Hulk.
Well, actually, have
So,
you
we'll
listened to the recent Blank Check?
E.T.?
Yeah.
I started it. I haven't finished it.
Okay, so that was my snowblowing the driveway this morning.
Okay.
Start.
Steve, I started it while I was snowblowing the driveway today.
Because why not?
Amazing. Why not?
For anyone who is not listening to Blank Check with Griffin and David and are interested in random films,
the early works of Steven Spielberg currently.
in this case, the current stuff is the early works of Spielberg. Their back catalog is extensive. Let's put it that way. They were talking about E.T. and how when Spielberg got the blank check, he was able to make a small movie that was just focused on one alien in a suburban town.
Right. Yeah. E.T. is as much it is kind of a masterpiece and a perfect film and one of the best films ever made. It's pretty small in scale, especially when you compare it to something like Close Encounters or Raiders, which came almost directly before. I mean, Raiders did come directly before E.T. He like really kind of scaled it down to make that movie. And I think your point is that sometimes smaller is better.
Right. Like you don't need 3 giant villains and bring it down to when we saw Iron Man in the first Iron Man just doing his thing, or Thor having more of an issue with one giant robot and him gaining his powers back.
Right.
Like make that movie. Make it the original Cap where he's, struggling to
World War II in it.
Right. Just make it small. It doesn't have all the stakes don't have to be in every movie. I think we've said this about Star Wars too.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem with a lot of superhero movies in general, right? Is that they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's multiverse, so they can do anything. But if you can do anything, then nothing matters, right? So where are the stakes? How do you bring the stakes back? How do you make stakes feel real again? You make it smaller, make it more personal. But I don't know that Marvel has the ability to do that.
No,
and again, I don't know that. Maybe that might not be a problem with this movie. Again, I haven't seen it yet, but it is a possibility that part of the reason that people are coming out with mixed reviews is that they're like, where did that guy with the huge brain come in? What is that guy doing?
It's been a problem in a number of their other movies. So inherently it makes you think, hey, this could, be an issue.
Yeah.
Conversely, that's part of why Thunderbolts seems like it's I think that might be part of what's leading into me being excited about Thunderbolts is the fact that we don't know anything about the team, and the team is fighting something unknown but seems focused. It doesn't seem like this one's going to be all over the place. So,
right. And then we could be wrong because the trailers seem very focused, but like that movie could sprawl out of control, and who knows who the real bad guy is at the end of Thunderbolts or what? Like we don't know. But the way that they're marketing that movie makes it seem like a smaller and slicker, more of a streamlined action film.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're making a Captain America movie, it's got to be big, it's got to be flashy and explodey, But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I can't wait to see it, and I hope to see it sometime soon, so I can actually, talk about it with an informed take. So we'll see. We will see.
Did you ever watch Supernatural, the TV show?
You know what? No, I almost did, and then I saw that it was like 9 seasons, and I was like, I think that's too
I ended
much.
up catching like a random middle season in there when I was living up in Alaska. The host family, one of the people in the host family was like constantly watching it, so it was like, okay, guess I'm in. That was actually where I discovered Doctor Who as well.
Oh, nice.
Which I believe was the Tenet series about that time.
Mm-hmm.
So Richard was saying that he thought that Supernatural did a good job scaling it down in some of the episodes later on, which, that could be something that Marvel takes a look at, not that specifically. I mean, they might, but of like taking the stakes back and just, we've talked about Andor being one of our favorite pieces of Star Wars
shows. Yeah.
There's a lot of stakes there. But it's all focused on Cassian Andor. Like there is a focus to it. It's not just like, let's build a Star War.
Yeah, yeah. And the stakes change depending on Cassian's predicament at the time, And yeah, that's a good point. Television shows often do have that problem as well, or at least the way television used to be, where it was like 22 episodes per season and you're doing 9 seasons of a thing. Like I'm thinking
mean,
of like Arrow or The Flash.
Yeah.
Also, like those CW DC shows were like, okay, now this season's big bad is trying to do this, so it's like, okay, well, great. I
that
gotta watch
forever
22 episodes of
escalating.
yeah, forever
Yeah.
escalating. Exactly. Yeah.
Which I guess, as weird as it sounds, the MCU might be movies' first television series.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've heard it described like that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's that. I never put that together in my head of like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you have to see every episode for it to make
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
If you miss an episode, you're lost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
that
I mean, it
kinda
used to be like
sucks.
that. Now you could, I feel like, who knows where they're going with the Avengers movies, but like, did you have to have seen Doctor Strange 2 or Shang-Chi to know what's going to happen in Fantastic Four? No.
No.
Would you know what's going to happen in Captain America, Brave New World? Probably not. Nope.
Yeah.
So who knows? But we've talked about that a million times. We've
Right.
talked about
Well,
that to
how
death.
many people are going to go into Captain America: Brave New World and wonder where the hell Steve Rogers is? Even though the trailers.
Well, you know what? I don't know, because Endgame,
Yeah.
one of the highest grossing movies of all time. A lot of people saw that movie.
A good number of people did. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I think regardless of, like, yeah, sure, Falcon and the Winter Soldier smooths out that transition for us a little bit and shows Sam like getting in shape to be the new Captain America and debuts him as Captain America. But I think all you really need is at the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers gives the shield to Sam. That's kind of all you really need. Like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I remember that he gave it to him. And I guarantee you there's a line of dialogue. There's
I'm sure there's
definitely
something that sets
dialogue
it up.
in this movie that reminds people like,
Yeah.
hey, remember when that old man gave you that shield? Yep, I sure do. Yeah. They're going to remind us. Because that movie came out a long time ago now, over like 5 years ago.
2018. That was 7 years ago, my friend.
Oh, 18? I thought it was 19. Oh, wow.
Oh, it might have been 2019. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because Infinity War came out with Solo, right?
That I don't remember. I think Endgame came out the same year. Yeah. I think Endgame came out the same year as Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So 19. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to some other Marvel stuff. We talked about last week some X-Men casting rumors. There are some more of those. There's some reports from Entertainment Weekly saying that Marvel isn't just gonna quote unquote turn on the fire hose with the X-Men. They're going to quote sprinkle them in before we get a full X-Men movie, which to me feels like we're going to see them show up in either Avengers Doomsday, or definitely Avengers Secret Wars. Who knows how they're planning on bringing these characters in, but I think we've long thought that we would see at least some of them pop up in other things before they go on to an X-Men movie, which I think is kind of smart as long as it doesn't muddy the waters too much of the story they're telling. The biggest rumor that I heard this week casting wise, I think it's pretty great. Margaret Qualley, fresh off her Oscar nominated role in The Substance. Margaret Qualley for Rogue. I think she'd be great. She was really great in The Substance, and I know there's like one or two other things I've seen her in as a very kind of minor character. I think she'd be great.
Andy McDowell's daughter. Okay.
That's right. I always forget that she's Andy McDowell's daughter. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she's excellent in The Substance. I've been thinking about The Substance a lot recently, which again is a horror movie starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. It's very gross, and it is just it's a great movie, and it has a lot to say about how society treats women, how Hollywood treats women, how we feel about aging, and regrets and things like that. It has a lot to say, but it's just so gross, and it's just crazy to me that a movie like that, and I'm not trying to give anything away, but it's crazy to me that a movie like that has the third act that it does is nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Like, you watch that movie, it's insane. It's insane that it's nominated. I love it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I love that it is nominated for Best Picture. It's just wild to me that they thought, like, the stuffy Academy was like, yeah, you know what? We'll give The Substance Best Picture.
I feel like they've been throwing one in like the last couple of years. They've just been like,
yeah, like it's a
throwing
real
a bone to
curveball.
something of like, This is a good
Yeah.
movie, and it should not be in this category, and it will not
Sure.
win. But we're
Well, like,
gonna give it some. I think that, you know what, was Black Panther the first one where it was like, holy shit, they actually gave it a nod.
I forgot Black Panther was nominated. Yeah, that was a curveball, but also like Get Out.
Yep.
You know, what I was a surprise for me for Best
Yeah.
Picture. It's a great movie, but like this one, again, I'm not saying anything, but this one is a bigger shock to me
Yeah.
based on the subject matter and what happens in the movie. It's wild. It's wild at its best picture.
Fair enough.
It's great. Anyway, I hope
Margaret
Margaret
Qualley
Qualley
is
is cast as Dorothy.
also married to Jack Antonoff.
Who's married to Jack Antonoff? Margaret Qualley is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. Thanks,
Good for him.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. There's also reports from Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast that, you know, we've all assumed that due to the domestic violence charges against Jonathan Majors, who was previously playing Kang the Conqueror, we're all assuming that we would just never see Kang again. And according to Snyder, he's saying that Marvel may actually have a plan to get rid of Kang, to like give him a farewell instead of just never mentioning him again. The idea would be to cast a replacement to play him in like one scene where he gets killed, likely by the new big bad, Doctor Doom. Um, kind of like, you know how in was it Endgame? No, in the beginning of Infinity War, we had they show Thanos shows up, and not only does he beat the crap out of the Hulk, he also kills Loki. Um, Spoiler alert for a movie that came out 6-7 years ago. But you know, like there was like, oh, Thanos is killing Loki. This is like, so that's like a way to show us like, oh, Thanos is like a real bad guy because he's killing the previous big bad guy that we had in other Avengers movies or things like that. So kind of that idea, but obviously they're not going to bring back Jonathan Majors. And Snyder has heard that they could possibly replace him with Tremel Tillman from Severance, my current favorite show.
Still need to convince my wife to watch that.
Oh man, it's great. And he's very good in it. I can certainly see him being Kang, I guess, for a scene. I think that's an interesting report, and I guess I can see why Marvel would want to do that because they did invest a good amount of setup into Kang being in Loki and also like Quantumania. But do you care if we ever see like? How do you feel? Like, do you think they need to say goodbye to Kang, or are you fine if they just never mention him again?
They could not mention him again, and it would be perfectly fine until they find some other way to utilize him. Like Kang as a character, great.
Mhm.
Kang in the current iteration, I feel like, how to put it, even with all lawsuits being dismissed and whatnot, I feel like Jonathan Majors is completely tainted goods on anything that's going on there, and you can't continue with what's going on with the storylines. I think they've already written enough out that it doesn't make sense particularly. And that, if you just let it go by the wayside, whatever. Also, if you can recast with someone that has the gravitas of Majors, because for all of, we've said this numerous times about various different people, he did put on a performance.
Sure.
He may be a garbage human, but he put on a hell of a performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can recast with someone that's able to follow that up, sure, find a way to use him. Even if it's for the send off, they still need to be able to do something. And if Tillman can do that, then awesome.
I guess I just feel like if you're going to recast him, then recast him and keep using him.
And just use him.
But why recast him just to kill him off? I mean,
it is also Kang. Like, he's going to show up.
Yeah.
Like, Kang the Conqueror isn't one to just go away.
I guess that's true. And I get, like, you want to set up Doom as some thing, but I don't know, his name is Doom. Like, you don't have to, like, if you tell me this guy's name is Dr. Doom, like, I get it. He's a bad guy,
Well, you're also
So
muddying
I
the
don't need to
waters because
see him.
Victor Von Doom is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be so weird.
I already am not looking forward to this movie.
Me too, man. Me too. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand what they're going for.
No, and I hope they do.
I hope they're going for something. But I don't know, the Kang thing, like, I could take or leave Kang. Like, I don't, sure, I guess, like, Loki was a pretty popular show, but, like, Ant-Man Quantumania was not a very popular movie. How many people are gonna care? How many people are gonna, like, know who the character even is, really, If he shows up just to die, they'll be like, "Who was that guy? And why was he important? Why did I care about
I
that
would
guy?"
almost say that more people will know him from Loki than from Quantumania.
I think it's very possible. I think it's possible. And also,
Like,
Quantumania came out years ago,
yeah,
and we're not gonna see Doomsday for another what is that? Comes out in 2026, right? So that's the target
so,
date, and then Secret Wars is 27,
yep.
I think. So, like, who cares? I guess my question is, like, does anybody really care? Yeah. Will it be
No,
more confusing than it will be, I think they're doing it because they think they have to make sense of it, but I don't think they have to make sense of it. I think no one cares. Like, how many other plot threads are just dangling out there that they're never gonna wrap up? That's fine. This can just be one of them.
yeah, just let it ride.
And then recast him later if you want to use him. Then you don't have then he's not dead. You don't have to bring him back from the dead. Then he's just around still. I don't know. I don't know, Marvel. I don't know what you're doing.
Do you know the other thing that I just saw
Nope.
about the X-Men reboot stuff that I don't want
No.
to happen?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson as
Oh,
Apocalypse.
yeah, I saw that too, and it's from I saw the source, and it's not from a scooper that I think is right most of the time.
I just
So I
wanted to
didn't.
mention it because no,
How stupid would that be? That'd be so stupid.
it would.
If The Rock was no, he should not be Apocalypse. Somebody that can, do I want to say that? Yeah, someone that can act should be Apocalypse.
You all saw Black Adam, for better
Saw
or
Black
for
Adam,
worse. Mostly for worse.
I think if The Rock could be in a movie as an actor and not as this needs to become all about me and needs to become like a vehicle for Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I need to be a producer and this thing has to be pumped full of testosterone. Like, I think if The Rock was just Black Adam in a movie that he was not producing or had any uh like hand in, then I think that movie would have been a lot better. It just became a high octane The Rock action movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he's not willing to surrender that part of his brand or his image, then all movies that he's in are just going to have this kind of dumb action movie feel to them. And that's definitely not what you want from an X-Men movie. Like, you want it to be a little more sensitive to the themes that the X-Men are about and represent and stand for.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that he can do that. And I don't think that I don't know what they're doing with the X-Men, but we've heard rumors of Magneto, and now for Apocalypse. Like, you're doing too much. Already doing too much. Lay off the gas. Lay off the gas.
Yep.
So I definitely don't want that to happen as well. Speaking of things I do want to happen, which we weren't, DC movies. I do want DC movies to happen. Now, I read a report this week that there are two directors that may be circling the Clayface film. Clayface film written by, I'm forgetting his name, the guy that did the Netflix scary stuff. Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan. Now, those two names are Jeff Wadlow, who directed Kick-Ass 2, and James Watkins, who directed Speak No Evil. Now, this next part of this report is what I heard report from, again, on the Hot Mic podcast. According to them, you'll notice Jeff Wadlow and James Watkins, these are not like big name directors. This is not like James Gunn directing a Superman movie. It's not like Matt Reeves directing a Batman movie. It's like
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
These are just
also
like
Clayface is neither of those.
good point. Good point. Now, Hot Mic Podcast is claiming that these two directors not being big names may have something to do with the fact that James Gunn is having trouble getting directors to sign on to DC movies, knowing that they will have to take notes from James Gunn, another director. Kind of like, if you have somebody like James Mangold attached to do a Swamp Thing movie, James Mangold, who is an multi-Oscar nominated director, doesn't want to necessarily be taking studio notes from a different director. He wants to make his movie, he wants to make his Swamp Thing movie, and he should, because he is capable of that. He's
Yeah.
James Mangold. He's great. Um,
This is the guy who brought us Logan. So
yeah,
no matter
exactly.
what, like, speaking of blank checks, like, to me, you make Logan, you can make whatever the hell you want.
Right. Yeah. He's nominated this year for
Yeah.
a complete unknown.
Yep.
I think he was nominated for Ford versus Ferrari too. Like, he's a
He was
very
for a couple of different
decorated
things, I think.
director. So like, and going on saying that, I bring up James Mangold. The Hot Mic gave an example of, like, the Clayface story kind of being rumored to be, at least, a story about a man getting revenge on the people that made him a monster. That's kind of the same idea as a Swamp Thing origin movie, if you're following the comics, and that may be rubbing James Mangold the wrong way, despite, again, according to Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic, James Mangold reportedly is actually more passionate about pursuing the Swamp Thing movie than his Star Wars project, and will be having to make a decision soon on which he's going to pull the trigger on, because both of them will be multiple years of his life. So we may see an announcement on that one way or the other. I'm not sure what I get what they're saying, and I understand that a director like James Mangold or any director may not want to take notes from another director. But I guess it depends on. I mean, I've never worked with James Gunn. A lot of reports say that he's super nice and cool, but, like, I don't know. I feel like he's a guy that could give James Mangold the room to make the movie he wants to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think it's weird, however. I do think it's weird that if this movie does get made, that it's going to be the third movie in the DCU rollout, and that you're making a Clayface movie before we even know who Batman's going to be. Clayface
And
is
at
the
the same
Batman
time,
villain.
this is the DCU that led off with Creature Commandos,
That's also true.
which was
That's also true.
banging.
Banger. Yeah. Creature Commandos ruled. Good point. Good point. But, like, looking at it on paper, Superman, Supergirl, Clayface, and then, a Green Lantern show. That's good, but I don't know. I feel like you need, like, another A-lister coming up soon. You need to announce, like, maybe not a Batman movie, but, like, you got to announce something big soon to kind of keep your momentum going. I mean, if Superman hits, then Superman's going to have the momentum, and that's going to flow into Supergirl.
Yeah.
But, like, are you going to start working on a Superman sequel? Because you don't want to drop that ball a second time. You know what I mean? Like, we all thought we were going to get a Man of Steel sequel, and then we got a Batman movie with a few lines of dialogue from Superman in it and a couple fight scenes. Like, I think you want a Superman, and if it's a hit, you want a Superman 2 within, like, 3 years maximum. Who's going to do that? Is James going to do that too? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. That sounds like the right timeline. I would say 3 to 5 with modern. I feel like modern sequels are definitively a bit of a gap.
For sure. But, like, what else is close to being greenlit in the DC camp that's, like, a major, like, Sergeant Rock we've heard of, but, like, Sergeant Rock's not Superman. Sergeant Rock's not Batman.
Yeah.
And we did hear this week that, the Batman Part 2 is on schedule to film, like, late and start filming end of this year for a late 2027 release, but, like, it's gonna be 2 years after Superman. And I don't know, Snyder said on this Hot Mic podcast, he said something about not knowing who the Batman is in the DCU yet, and he said, "I can't imagine a world where it's not Robert Pattinson at this point." So, I don't
I
know.
mean, I could see it working. I think we all
I
could.
could see it working. I could see it working the other way too. I could see
Yeah.
it working with just two different Batman, but I can also see public getting confused. So that's, it's hard to speculate on something that we don't know. But it seems like, I mean, I'm going to watch all these movies. I'm very excited for James Gunn's DCU.
Yeah.
This is the most negative I've been on it, I think, ever on on this podcast. And it's not negative. It's just that I think that they have to. I mean, like Green Lantern is like he's like he's a A-lister for DC. But I feel like following up Supergirl with a Clayface movie and a Sergeant Rock movie, I don't know. Is that like dwindling momentum? I feel like you need here's Wonder Woman, or here's the Flash. I mean, not the Flash, but
I mean,
you need
at
like
the same
somebody else.
time, do you put those out to flesh things out? Well, announcing that following up Sergeant Rock is going to be Wonder Woman or the next Batman movie or something like that.
Right. Well, yeah, no, I'll take them. I'll take them for sure. But I mean, I just don't want. I think the DCU has a lot of momentum right now when there's only one thing that's out and
Yeah.
not a lot of people have seen it comparatively. More people are going to see Superman than watch Creature Commandos. And Creature Commandos did pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
But I think once the public is invested, you can't be like, did you like Superman? Now watch this Sergeant Rock movie about a World War II hero. Like, okay, what? I want to see another Superman movie, or I want to see a Batman movie now. I want to see a movie where Superman meets Wonder Woman. I want to follow that thread. Now you're throwing me back in World War II, or you're throwing me to weird goo clay monster in Gotham City without Batman. What's happening? What is this? I don't know.
Did you like
This
this
is
guy
all
in an iron suit? Okay, well, watch this movie about a god with a hammer.
You know what?
You know what? Did you like that? Let's go watch this World War II movie.
Bring me back, buddy. Thanks. Thanks. You're right. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just make good movies. That's what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Make good movies.
Just make good movies.
Make a good movie.
Of making good movies, I completely forgot Mangold's his filmography is stupid. Like
he's like I think he's the best director. I mean, I love James Gunn. I think James Mangold is the most prestige director that DC may have ever had.
Yeah, maybe.
He's I think he's the most prestige director that Star Wars has ever.
Probably.
According to Snyder, he may pass along the Star Wars project, but who knows?
But like Girl Interrupted,
I think both
Kate and Leopold, Walk the Line,
yeah.
310 to Yuma, Logan, Ford versus Ferrari, Dial of Destiny, A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
That's just what he's been nominated for.
Right. Yeah, it's not even every movie he's made. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Dude is
you
good.
Also have Copland and Logan and the Wolverine, which the Wolverine was way better than it gets credit for.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude is great. Both Warner Brothers and Lucasfilm are, one, lucky to have him, and two, should be doing everything they can to hold on to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please make our Swamp Thing movie. Please make our Dawn of the Jedi movie. Please make them both at the same time. Please kill yourself making both these movies.
Yep.
He was on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, this past week. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm excited to. And I guess that's it about DC.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know why I'm worried. I'm just excited to see all this stuff. I do want them to make a straight up Superman Part 2 though. And I don't want it to take 5 years. I stand by that. If Superman hits, then you need to put a sequel in development immediately. You need to figure it out and get it done. So people don't forget. Because there's a lot going on. There's a lot out there. People forget. Like we're talking about with Marvel. Do people remember what the post-credit scene from Shang-Chi was? Do they remember what happened in the end of Doctor Strange that's going to affect how he is and whatever? I don't know. People remember that. It was a long time ago. We haven't seen that character in a long time. Get the sequels done quick.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Something else that I'm excited to see, but I'm a little dubious about, just because I don't know what it's going to be like. Speaking of making a Batman villain movie without Batman in it. And this is in the miscellaneous category because we don't normally talk too much about horror, but again, slow week. Linda Cardellini, the great Linda Cardellini. Freaks and Geeks, Scooby-Doo,
Dead
many
Man
other
on
things.
Campus.
Dead Man on Campus. Linda Cardellini.
Every once in a while, I just think of that scene in that movie where the dude just starts screaming, "Kick me in the junk." And I don't know why.
What I think of a lot is when he's driving the car and he says something about how he got his license taken away. And they're like, why? And he goes, vehicular manslaughter, whatever the fuck that means. I think about that all the time. I don't know why. If I hear the term vehicular manslaughter, I have to follow it up in my brain with whatever.
Just thinking of that era of college movies, PCU, you don't know how many times Gutters, "Can you blow me where the Pampers is?" shows up in conversation.
PCU is a movie that I exclusively watched on Comedy Central when I was in high school. I don't know that I ever watched it in any other format. It was on Comedy Central constantly, and I watched it all the time.
My cousin had the VHS of it. I don't know where that went, but I wish I knew. I have no way to play it, but I wish I knew.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like that's a movie that like more people have seen than is necessary. Because like, that's like a kind of low budget, mediocre movie. Like it's fine, it's funny, but like, it's just because it was on cable all the time. It doesn't deserve to be seen by that many people necessarily.
That was such a gateway cast too.
Yeah,
like Jeremy Piven, Favreau,
David Spade, John Favreau.
Spade.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
Absolutely.
Playing Erotic City by Prince.
Anyway, Linda Cardellini. My introduction to P-Funk. Like,
oh yeah,
100%. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is okay. I can get down with this.
Pretty dope. Anyway, the great Linda Cardellini.
Yes.
Is in talks to portray Pamela Voorhees in the upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series, Camp Crystal Lake. I believe it's going to be a Peacock exclusive, but it's being produced by A24. And that's Linda Cardellini, big bright spot for this show. And the fact that it's being produced by A24, a lot of great films being pumped out by A24, right. A lot of them scary. Very cool that they are currently in charge of the Friday the 13th franchise, I think. I feel like that's a franchise that a lot of people have tried to manage or tried to have the rights to. I think LeBron James had the rights to Friday the 13th for a while.
Really?
Really weird stuff. But Linda Cardellini, maybe Pamela Voorhees, who we have really only seen as an old lady wearing a very cozy looking blue sweater. She tries to murder teenagers in a movie or two, flashback or two, maybe.
By tries, I mean, there's no trying. She successfully murders teenagers.
She tries and succeeds.
Yes.
She puts the effort in. She puts the correct amount of effort
in. She put a yeoman's effort in on that. Like there was some,
for sure.
They went down.
I mean, spoiler alert for the first Friday the 13th movie that came out in 1981 or something. Yeah.
Right. If you're listening to this and you did not know, I wonder how many people have the misconception. Like either saw it so long ago and have forgotten that or what, you know what I mean?
Or they've never seen it, or they just know. I had it spoiled for me because Scream spoils it. I saw Scream before I saw the original Friday the 13th. Okay. And that's like one of the questions that he asks Drew Barrymore in the opening of Scream. So I was like, oh, whoa. So it was not like a twist for me when I saw Friday.
I forget that opening of Scream was just...
Dude, the first 10 minutes of Scream are just incredible.
Yeah.
It's so good. So it makes me want to watch it right now. The whole movie's great, but that first 15 minutes is just like its own little great cold open. So good. So good.
Also, Linda Cardellini needs to get more plaudits for her work as Lila.
Oh, that's right. She was Lila the Otter.
Mm-hmm.
3. I knew
She's
there
also
was some
Clint Barton's wife.
Of course. She's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
She's
She
all
also
over the place.
voiced Nasthalthea in All Star Superman.
Cool.
We're staying in the
I don't remember-
nerd sphere. I
I
don't know
don't
what the
remember
hell
that
that is, but sounds great.
I don't remember that. Yeah. So she's double dipping in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Good for her. Um,
Oh, and she
So
was in
I like
Creature Commandos too.
that's right. She was in Creature Commandos.
She's
Clearly,
Elizabeth Bates.
yeah, clearly James Gunn is a fan of hers. That's cool.
It seems to be, yeah.
I wonder if she'll show up in
Now that you say that.
yeah. So like a Friday the 13th prequel series clearly focused on Pamela Voorhees, I would think, and her frog boy child, Jason. Is it just gonna be about like her? Like, are we gonna see Jason die and then she goes crazy? Like, what is this series gonna be? How interesting can it be before she goes crazy and starts trying to kill people? You know?
Right.
I don't know. That's the challenge, I guess. That's the challenge.
Yeah, when the
But Linda
entire
Cardellini,
premise
great
is
actor.
this person is killing people, how does one make a series out of that?
Right. How is it more than one season? You know? Unless there's like, do audiences have the patience for it to be like episode 1, she finds out she's pregnant, you know, and then like we have to wait. It's 2 seasons before she gives birth.
Yeah, the answer is no. No.
The answer is no, right? We don't have the patience for that. We want to see her start going crazy. Kid's got to drown. She's got to start stabbing people. That's what we want to see. So don't leave us waiting around. But you know, there is a question of like what happens because she, I believe in the lore, her son drowns. She murders those kids, the counselors that
Right.
were responsible. And then, you know, it's like 10 or 15 years, 20 years later or whatever, she shows up, and that's when the first Friday the 13th movie takes place. But like, I guess there's a big question of what does she do in between those years?
Is there
Does she go
though?
on other there's a lot of space
yes.
to come up with stuff
It
that
is
hasn't been
technically
touched.
a question. Is it
It's
a good
technically
question?
it's technically a space that could be filled
Right.
with information. Is
Did
it
you see the
information
the
that I care
remake?
about? Not necessarily.
The 2009 remake?
Oh, Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Yes, it's good.
It's all right.
Yeah. It's
So
cool
that's-
because
they've
they
made, what,
do it
12?
like
12 Friday the 13th movies, if you count that.
isn't it insane that they haven't made a 13th Friday the 13th movie? It's crazy that there's
Oh.
only 12.
Huh.
Like make a 13th. That'd be a big deal. Yeah, the 2009 reboot is actually pretty good.
Okay.
It's produced by Michael Bay, so it's like a little Michael Bay-y, you know. But
You'll
it's
have
cool
that.
because they kind of figure out a way to cover kind of like the first 4 movies like in one movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's like an evolution of the Jason character as it like progresses, so it's cool.
Was Gordon Bombay from Mighty Ducks in any of these? According to Brian Rowlands in the chat, she watched a lot of Mighty Ducks, and that's how Jason gets his love for hockey masks.
I had no idea why you're at Gordon Bombay. Like, am I supposed to know? Is that the what character?
was Estevez's
Emilio
character,
Estevez?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure Emilio Estevez is not in any Friday the 13th movie. That'd be cool if he was.
Yeah, it would
I'd
be.
watch Emilio Estevez get killed by a Jason Voorhees. Anyway, I have no comic to review this week. Do you? No, me either.
No, but Marvel was actually in on time, so that's a weird one.
Hey, making steps, Diamond. Making some good steps here. Well, this week in your local comic book store, should Diamond get their shit together and get the books to the places on time, you may find the following books: Alien Paradiso, issue 3, Aliens versus Avengers, number 3. I feel like issue 1 of Aliens versus Avengers came out 8 months ago. Like, this is a slow rollout series, I feel like. I could be wrong. Amazing Spider-Man 68, Batman and Robin Year 1, number 5, Batman Superman World's Finest, number 36, Catwoman, number 73, Challengers of the Unknown, number 3. Daredevil 18. DC Horror Presents Creature Commandos, number 5. Doll Parts, A Lovesick Tale, number 3. Doom Academy, number 1. Exceptional X-Men, number 6. G.I. Joe, number 4. House of Slaughter, 30. Howl, number 2. Incredible Hulk, number 22. Jenny Sparks, number 7. Laura Kinney, Wolverine, number 3. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 30. Excuse me. Mystique, number 5. New Gods, number 3. Nightwing, number 123. NYX, number 8. The Question, All Along the Watchtower, number 4. Star Wars Ahsoka, number 8. Star Wars High Republic, Fear the Jedi, number 1. Storm, number 5. Titans, number 20. Ultimate Black Panther, number 13. Ultimate Wolverine, number 2. Uncanny X-Men, number 10. World Tree, number 13. Weapon X-Men, number 1. Wonder Woman, number 18. X Factor 7. X-Force 8. And Zatanna, number 1. A new miniseries for Zatanna. And that's it. That's a pretty big week. There's a lot of heavy hitters this week. That's not even all the books that were on the list. I just didn't want to read every single thing. You looking up Fear the Jedi?
I
High
am.
Republic? How's it look?
Looks like Kalnaka from the Acolyte will be in it.
Ooh, cool.
That was definitively
Nice.
a book I did not realize was coming out, but apparently that is the culmination of the High Republic comics series.
Oh, really?
So I'll have to grab that.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So one non-DC book will be in your poll this week.
At least 3, because Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate Wolverine.
Oh, of course.
And Weapon X-Men may grab that for shits and giggles.
From what I saw, that's like another Wolverine, Deadpool-y kind of thing. Yeah. Man, they're really doing a lot of Wolverine, Deadpool stuff. Like, I get it.
Right.
It's a popular movie.
But at the same time, like...
How many can you do? Are you oversaturating your market? Yes. Yes is the answer.
Oh, that doesn't come out until March 6th.
What doesn't? Weapon X-Men?
Yeah.
Oh, well. According to the list that I read.
And according to this website, it comes out this week.
Interesting.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Okay, never mind. The March one was last year's Weapon X-Men number 1, which was the one that was all the different Wolverines, and I did not pull that. Because that just seems like too much.
Too much Wolverine. Oversaturation of that character.
Which is weird to hear from me.
Yeah. Well, I think there was for a long time after he popped and blew up in the X-Men franchise when those movies were pumping. He was everywhere. He was in every
when it was
X-Men book.
all Hugh Jackman all the time.
Yeah. Like, I got sick of him. Not sick of him, but just like,
okay, he's here again. Cool.
Right now.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more characters in this franchise.
When are we going to get an update on that Wolverine game that they announced like 3 years ago?
I don't know, but I would love it.
Yeah, me too. Wasn't there like people like hacked the company making it to try to get information on it? Wasn't that
I think something like that
a while ago? Man, I really want to play a Wolverine game. Come on, man.
Yeah, like give me Wolverine like Spider-Man, and I will just be a happy man.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
it was the same. It was the same company, same production team. Insomniac, right? Yeah.
Yep, Insomniac.
Man, and they announced, I think around the same time, they announced a Wonder Woman game. Where's that been? What's going on there?
It's probably right next to the Wolverine game.
Probably right next to the Wolverine game.
Yeah.
And maybe a few steps in front of the High Republic remake, but probably not too many steps. But yeah, I want to see these things. Come on, people. I want to see them. Make them. Well, without those answers, like I said, not much else. That's all I got. Not a whole lot of news this week. And I don't know. Maybe this is a shorter episode. I don't know. If it is, great. If it's not,
oh, we're right at the 1 hour mark, so it's not too much shorter.
Perfect. And you weren't supposed to get an episode anyway, so
yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome, people.
Thanks. I think. Wait.
Thanks.
You know what I would thank you for?
What's that?
if those people listening would head on over to patreon.com/the Multiverse Report. Feel free to support us. We will provide you goods and services in other means and methods. If you want to find out what they are, go check out that website I just mentioned. Beyond that, feel free to check us out on the socials, the Multiverse Report, on the ones that matter. The ones that don't, we won't touch anyways. So check us out on Blue Sky or Instagram for the most part. Other than that, check out themultiversereport.com, themultiversereport@gmail.com if you want to, for some reason, send us some long form prose.
Anything.
And other than that, leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. Like, subscribe. Feel free to talk in the chat with Brian and Richard. They're hanging out. Thanks for calling it a great show, Richard. We'll probably catch you on the flip side.
That's right.
Did I just say?
And so
did I just say catch you on the flip side?
You said catch on the flip side, and you said it so naturally.
30 years since I've used that term.
We're bringing it back. We'll catch on the flip side as the two suns set over the burnt corpses of Owen and Brew Lars. We say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.